Trader here. Welcome to the channel and welcome to the video.
Gotta get more followers.
If you have not already, be sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications, get notified every time I put out a brand new video. Today's video going to be going over Topstep, formerly known as Topstep Trader, and their futures trading program, specifically going to be focusing mainly on the rules of their valuation, but we will just touch on a general overview of what their program is and what the goals are before we get to the rules. So right now, as I record this in July 2021, Topstep is running a promotion for 30% off. Topstep seldom runs promotions, maybe just a few times a year. So if you're seeing this before August 10th, 2021, they are running this promo. If you're seeing it in the future, be sure to visit my website and keep it updated with whatever the current evaluation deals and discounts are for all the different companies. So you will see them here. And the other thing I just want to mention up front, if you're seeing this video in the future, please don't just take my word on the various rules. Go and double check them before you start an evaluation and start trading based on what I say. Topstep very much has the propensity to change rules for better, for worse sometimes. So the last thing I want you to do is break a rule inadvertently because you saw something in my video, but it turns out that information is just outdated and is no longer current. So definitely be sure to come here, look at their help center, and read the current rules before you go ahead and jump into trading. So speaking of trading, Topstep has both forex and futures trading. I'm only involved in futures trading. So if you're interested in forex, certainly all the information is here on their site, but I'm not going to be talking about it in this video. We will be focused on futures trading, and let's look at that. So Topstep has 3 account sizes currently, 50K, 100K, 150K. They're pretty much scale identically. You know, the goal is 3,000, 6,000, or 9,000. Contract sizes are 5, 10, 15. So these prices are the full prices, by the way. It doesn't reflect the 30% off. So we're going to go through the rules in general, not specific account by account, but the rules I give out kind of apply to all of them. I will say up front, so Topstep has a 2-step process. Step 1 is trade a minimum of 5 days. Step 2 is trade a minimum of 10 days. The rules in Step 2 are slightly more strict, but as we go through what all the rules are, I'll point out what the differences are between Step 1 and Step 2. So let's look at Step 1, and again, I'm just going to kind of paraphrase this I'm trying to provide a nice little overview, and then certainly, again, I encourage you to come read the details. Trade a minimum of 5 days. So from the point you sign up, you have to trade a minimum of 5 days. They don't have to be consecutive days. Take as long as you want. Just remember you're kind of on the clock. The amount you pay up front, the membership fee, is going to renew every 30 days. So there's an incentive there to finish before 30 days. I should say 30 calendar days. Reach the profit target. And then there's also a new rule, which is the winning trade duration rule. Again, I mentioned they tend to add rules sometimes. This is one that just came up a few months ago. Half of your trades have to be longer than 20 seconds. I'm not going to get into all the reasoning behind it and whatnot. They say it's statistics related, and they find that people that do short-term scalping often don't make it long-term. Nonetheless, this is the rule. So make sure that at least half your trades are over 20 seconds, and that stat is actually tracked on your dashboard with Topstep, so you'll be able to see where you're at any given point. So as far as rules, only trade permitted products, and we're going to go into these rules a little bit more detailed. I just kind of want to go over them. Only trade permitted products. Do not hit or exceed the daily loss limit. Do not allow your count balance to hit the trailing drawdown. Don't exceed your maximum position size. And that's essentially it. So I just want to go over the Step 2 rules, and then we'll get into all the rules, because the rules are pretty much the same. It's just there's a few additional ones, or they're a little bit more strict on Step 2. So I'll just be explaining the rules essentially once and saying if they apply to Step 1, Step 2, or both. So trade a minimum of 10 days. So once you've finished Step 1, everything is automated with Topstep. You know, they'll send you congratulations, etc. And usually the next day they have you up and running. Like, you won't even miss a trading day. You'll be moved into Step 2. It'll all be reflected in your dashboard. Again, reach the profit target. Same thing with the winning trade duration, half over 20 seconds. Again, the 10 days don't need to be consecutive, but again, you're on that clock, so ideally you would finish in under a month. And just an aside, I want to mention, so the profit targets on the main screen are the goals that you have to meet on both Step 1 and Step 2. So for example, the 50K account is 3,000. You're going to have to reach that in step 1, and then in step 2, it's all going to reset, and you're going to have to reach that again. Continuing on, only trade permitted products, exact same thing. Don't hit the daily or weekly loss limit. So there's an introduction of a weekly loss limit. We'll get to it. Trailing drawdown, same thing. Don't trade during major economic releases. We'll touch on those. And follow a scaling plan, also something you didn't have to do in step 1. So we will go through each of these and I'll kind of talk on them a little bit. So what products can you trade? Essentially, pretty much I would summarize as any sort of CME group product is typically available. They do have the specific list though on their website. So again, please verify that what you want to trade is here. I don't know if you went in the platform and tried to trade some other product, it probably just isn't available, quite honestly, but be sure you confirm that. Obviously most popular I think with people are ES and NQ. I trade the treasuries. Used to trade crude oil. I will mention, just because I noticed it here, it's not something I usually think of, but you have to trade the front month. Again, I don't want this video to be a complete diversion from talking about the rules, but essentially the front month is the most current contract that's coming up. It'll be the contract with the most volume, and they even have a link here to how to identify the front month, so you always want to make sure you are trading that. So daily loss limit, again, I'm summarizing here. So on the 50K account, it was $1,000. Very simple. Basically, whatever your starting balance is on any given day, you can't lose more than $1,000 on that day. That rule applies for both steps 1 and steps 2. So regardless of what your other drawdowns and limits are, keep that one in mind. Weekly loss limit only applies to phase 2 of the evaluation, so you don't have to worry about it in step 1. Essentially, though, you also, in the 50K account, as an example, is also a $1,000 weekly loss limit. So you could go 5 days in a row, you could lose, say, 300 day 1, 300 day 2, 300 day 3. You haven't broken the daily loss limit rule, but if you now lose another 300 on day 4 and it's all in the same week, Monday to Friday, you're going to break the rule. You violated the drawdown rule for the weekly loss limit, so you need to be careful of that as well. So trailing maximum drawdown applies to both steps 1 and 2. I think the chart they have down here is probably the easiest for me to explain it. First off, it's updated at the end of the day, and this is actually the chart for the 50K. So you start off with a $2,000 trailing max drawdown. So what that means, so this is your profit in blue, your drawdown in red. Every time you have a winning day, you pull this number up. And that's why it means it trails. It trails your profit. So day 1, you're profitable. Day 2, you have more profit. You've pulled this number up. So you cannot fall below the red line. And it doesn't go backwards. So on day 3 here, they have an example where you lose money. That number stays flat. If you were to have another losing day and cross this, you broke a rule. Now this drawdown does stop at your initial balance. So at 50K here, it just freezes. So as long as you're well up and above it, you're okay. So really quickly, so you have a daily drawdown to worry about, you have a trailing max drawdown to worry about, and if you're in phase 2, you have a weekly max loss as well. So essentially, here's what I would do every single day. Figure out what those values are. Whatever one is the smallest, that's the number that you can't violate. So economic releases. So depending on the products that you trade, there's different economic releases that you're not allowed to trade during those releases. Now, the big ones are the FOMC statement and the unemployment rate. Luckily, those are only once a month, and Topstep has a pretty nice calendar on the website to keep it up to date. I actually use this myself, even for my own personal trading and other valuation accounts. I just refer to the Topstep one. If you do trade something like crude oil, natural gas, there's a few others, crops, there's a few others you need to be aware of as well. So definitely refer to the calendar. For example, here we are, I'm recording this on July 27th, tomorrow, FOMC statement. So that is something where everyone who is in Topstep has to be not trading 1 minute before the FOMC statement up to 1 minute after the FOMC statement. Personal opinion, be very wary of this. Don't push your luck. Don't try to trade right up to the 1 minute before. If you just cross it a little bit, or say they started early, something like that, you would break a rule. It would be a horrible way to break a rule. So just try to steer clear of those. And step 1 is just being aware of when these are. So visit this calendar. I personally, again, this is just my own personal recommendation. Every week or so, I look at this. If there's been something new added to the calendar, I put it on my own personal calendar. If it's something I need to be wary of, like the FOMC statement, I set an alert on my phone for an hour before to let me know, hey, don't trade coming up to the FOMC statement. So you can come here and depending on which products you trade, see which ones you need to be flat for. So the scaling plan. So this only applies to step 2, first of all, so the 10 days. So with the 50K account, by the way, they used to have a 30K account. They no longer do. They put a little note down here, but they didn't update their image yet. They don't offer that anymore. With the 50K account, essentially, even though it's up to 5 contracts, in step 2, you don't get to trade 5 contracts from day 1. You have to basically earn the right to trade 5. So you start off with 2 lots. Once you build your balance up to 51,500 and above, then you can go to 3 lots. Once you're over 52, then you can go up to the full 5 lots. This updates at the end of the day. It will be shown on your trader dashboard as well. So say on day 1, you get your balance up to 52,000 middle of the day. You cannot automatically start trading 3 lots. It's not permitted. You will break a rule. You need to wait for the next trading day, and your dashboard will show how many contracts you're able to trade. It works the other way as well, though, I will say. So say you were trading 3 lots and then you fell below 51,500. You can continue trading your 3 lots on that given day until the end of the day. Now, I read a few months ago that this is one thing they actually changed for the better. They actually lock you out. So say you're only allowed 2 and you try to trade 3, it just won't let you do that anymore. Whereas in the past it would, and then you'd break a rule. So like I said, they make changes often. This change happened to be a good one for the traders. But again, do not take my word on this. I have not been with Topstep for several months, just kind of passing along the information. Definitely don't tempt fate and then try to use the excuse of, oh, well, I thought it would lock me out. No, you need to be responsible with what you trade. And then they have this with the winning trade duration. I kind of already touched on it, but basically at least half your trades have to be over 20 seconds or longer. Again, on your trader dashboard, it will show you the count and the percentage so you know exactly where you are at with those. So I want to circle back to the products. One thing I kind of skipped over is when you can trade. They have it very clearly on here. Basically by 3:10 p.m. Central Time, you need to be closed out of all positions, and basically you need to be closed from 3:10 until 5 p.m. Central Time. Any of the other 22 hours of the day, you're welcome to trade. Just for that kind of essentially 2-hour period, you have to be flat. Again, kind of like with the FOMC, I wouldn't tempt fate. I wouldn't try leaving your position open right till 3:09. I mean, that's up to you, but you're kind of pushing it that, you might break a rule. I'll leave that up to you to deal with, but you definitely have to be closed by 3:10 and do not open a position before 5 p.m. Central Time. Just a quick side note, I know I don't come across too many people that trade, the agricultural type products, but if you do, it mentions right here, some of those markets might close a little bit earlier, so you need to be aware of what those market hours are and respect those as well. And lastly, when it comes to times and dates, there are special holiday hours. They have a full schedule here. Just be aware of that. I believe, again, don't take my word for it, but they send out an email kind of the day before, the week before saying, hey, the 4th of July is coming up. You're not allowed to be open between these dates and these times. But all that information is right on their website. And I think that basically covers the gist of all the rules, guys. Certainly, if you have any questions, feel free to either comment below on the video or send me an email from my website. If you go to my contact page, I have my information there, or there's a form, fill this in, send me an email. Again, I won't necessarily know anything more than Topstep has on their own facts, so I definitely encourage you to dig into these. I mean, they pretty much cover everything you need to know. But again, if you're still confused by something, I'm happy to try and help. I'll mention as well, I didn't touch at all on the funded side. Like once you pass fully, you've traded the 15 days, step 1, step 2 complete, there's a pro account, there's a funded account, there's rules on that side. There's lots more to consider there. This wasn't really the focus of this video. Possibly in the future, I'll try to put together something a little bit more about those as well. But for now, I think you're well equipped with the information all about Topstep Trader. Be careful of that scaling plan. Be careful of those drawdowns, daily, weekly, and trailing. Be careful of the times, the calendar days. And hey, those few little rules out of the way, you'll be on your way to being a successful funded trader. I wish you all the best of luck. Thanks so much for sticking in here, watching the video, and I'll see you in the next video.